Now, ensuring an inclusive society with minimal barriers, especially for persons living with disabilities, remains a hurdle. Although there is ongoing advocacy to remove some of these barriers through legislation, not all have been addressed. Language remains a major challenge, and it is on the back of this that SILANEM, a sign language training organization and the Inclusive Tech Group, is embarking on a pragmatic venture to train basic school children in sign language. Our Western Regional correspondent Joseph Kobina Amwa has more in the following report.
Sustainable Development Goal 4 professes that nations ensure equal access to all levels of education and vocational training for the vulnerable persons, including persons with disabilities. The Persons with Disabilities Act 2000, Act 751, comprises policies directed at creating an inclusive and more convenient society for persons with disabilities. In spite of all these, language still remains a major issue. Persons with speech or hearing impairment often face challenges when receiving medical attention or communicating with others. To help alleviate this, SILANEM, a sign language training organization and inclusive tech group, are embarking on a novel agenda to train basic school children within the Takwa Insyaye municipality. After weeks of training with 8 basic schools, 4 participated in a quiz, the Sign Language Advocacy Drill, the maiden edition in the country. It was themed Start Right, Nurturing Our Children for an Inclusive Society. Founder of SILANEM, Richmond Baidu, and Executive Director of Inclusive Tech Group, Dr. Millicent Agangeba, explained their rationale for embarking on this novel agenda.
Sign language is something that people look at differently, but we want to demystify sign language. We want people to know that sign language is like any other language. You like to know Fanti or Ga to communicate with Ga people or the Fantis, and so we also have to learn sign language so we can communicate with the deaf community. Let them know that they belong. Let them have that feeling of belongingness. And in an inclusive society, this is very critical. When we do that, we are able to factor them in everything we do.
Keynote speaker, a research assistant registrar at the University of Mines and Technology, Takwa, Eric Anthony Kavapu, commended the organizers for their novel initiative.
Hearing about and experiencing a sign language competition among school children, basic school children, and we think it's a novelty which could be used to influence government policy towards institutionalizing such practice in pre-tertiary educational institutions.
At the end of the 5 rounds of intensive and educative competition between Namis International School, Holy Standard Education, Daylight Preparatory School, and the Young School Complex, Holy Standard Academy emerged winners.
Sign language has helped me to acquire a new skill to communicate with the deaf, and I'm so happy because of winning this competition. I wish that the next stage of the upcoming competition will be
The motto of the Sign Language Education is Signing to Empower. President of the Western Region Deaf Association, Ashaka Kra, commended the organization for this great initiative, noting that this will help reduce the communication challenges persons with disabilities face.
Now we will see a lot of establishments regarding sign language, and then I think that is in the right direction. This is because the deaf people are suffering. For instance, let's look at the hospital. In the same way, the issue of employment. That is why sign language interpretation is very important. So once the students are learning to be skillful and then grow with it, once a deaf person completes school and then enters the university, it's simple for these children to be of help in terms of communication.
The aim of this training is to ensure that in no time, the language barrier between persons with disabilities and non-persons would be bridged. This is to ensure a more convenient and inclusive society for all people. Today, I have learned that this is cool, this is welcome. You do this to say thank you, and this is to say I love you. From the Takwa Insyaye municipality here in the Western region, for GH1 Television News, I am Joseph Kobina Amo.